Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back.
Good morning, run it back. It's Wednesday, almost our Friday. I like to confuse.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. Lou Will, Danny Green, Shams Charania from his abode in Chicago. Guys, we had controversy last night. Didn't know if we were gonna have any of that, but we did. It was the second game of the night out here in LA. Phoenix, Lakers. All right, LeBron took over. That's basically what happened. They advanced. Lakers won the West Group A with 4-0 record. Suns were 3-1 in that group. LeBron finished with 31, 11, 8, and 5 steals. Anthony Davis, 27-15. Austin Reeves had himself a good night. 20 points off the bench, including the clutch 3 that happened under a minute. But the controversy, of course, was the timeout seen around the world. Should have been a turnover? Shouldn't have been a turnover? Where are we on this one, Danny?
It definitely was a turnover, in my opinion.
There it is.
They got lucky, but I do love KD's response. He didn't blame it on the one play. He didn't blame it on the referees. He took accountability. They had a chance to tie it still after this, and they had many chances to win the game. But this was a turnover, and Phoenix should have gotten this ball. Lakers shouldn't have gotten the timeout.
It felt weird as it was happening, Lou. Like, what's going on right now?
Yeah, a lot of confusion, but I'm looking at this play, definitely a turnover. This is definitely Phoenix ball. They did everything they were supposed to do, not foul right away, give yourself an opportunity with a trap. That ball comes loose. However, LeBron James, being a heads-up player that he is, he's on the referee immediately.
Right?
As soon as this thing kind of gets confusing, he's already looking at the referee trying to get that timeout. And to Tom's credit, he was paying attention to LeBron. He's across the court, and it went the Lakers' way, but this was definitely a turnover.
I don't know if there's a way to fix it, or if you could have like Adam Silver with a big gold phone who's just like, no, don't do anything weird. But it was 7 seconds left. It just felt
I wonder, was
awful.
that a challengeable play?
I think in the last 2 minutes, a lot of things should be reviewable.
Yeah.
And it should be referees review, and a lot of times coaches and players shouldn't have to throw in their challenge or use their challenge. It's the last 2 minutes of the game. It's crunch time, and there's money on the line. This is an in-season tournament. It's the big deal. So there's always going to be some type of controversy, but during this time, referees need to call. We need to review this, and that's what said live. Watching it, you're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
We don't. And I thought they were going to review it. They didn't review it at all. They just said, Lakers got the timeout, and I'm like, this is a reviewable play, and they should have looked at it.
My only problem with that, Danny, is we have a lot of theater aspects in our game.
For sure.
So if we put that aspect in it, we're gonna have 2 minute games that are gonna turn into 20.
It's gonna be a long game.
Yeah, we already do this. Every play, players are doing
But
this.
is it
every
worth
single
it in
play.
the playoffs? Is it worth it in an in-season tournament to review
That's
these
the
plays?
thing.
I
This
just
one
think it
felt
messes up
weird.
the flow
To
of
get
the
it
game.
right.
But the
right?
problem with this one is, I'm not talking about the big guys on the roster, but farther down the roster, coaches, guys that were standing to get a nice little bonus, a chunk of change, if they move on. That's, I think, why this one felt a little bit different than usual.
That's why I say playoffs for sure, and an in-season tournament, the last 2 minutes of the game, they should be reviewable just to get it right. Because we've all been a part of games where, even in the playoffs, where there's some funky plays have happened and we've gotten screwed over.
Yeah.
And next day, report comes out, the referee should have called that foul. The referee should have, this out of bounds was off him. You see some crazy plays happen, and in fast time, so they're not always going to get it right. And they should be able to review it.
Okay, so conspiracy theory time. If this was not LeBron and the Lakers, does this even happen?
I'm going over on if this wasn't LeBron.
What do you mean?
They probably don't get this turnover. They probably don't get this ball. LeBron James he has presence.
Right.
He has presence. And listen, heads up to
For
LeBron.
sure.
He wasn't even a part of the play, and he was calling a timeout.
Yeah.
So give him kudos for his IQ. But I think a lot of guys don't get this call if they're not LeBron.
I agree, but also it depends on your referees. It depends on who your coaching staff is. Certain coaches get the respect. Certain referees look at different players differently. Tom said he looks at the players a lot of times. It depends on who your crew is.
Well, there were words after the game. Let's hear from Devin Booker.
The whole world's seen it. I just got off social media, and other players around the league seen it. So. It is what it is. Refs miss calls sometimes, but, when they're a bit that obvious, it's tough.
Which is different than what KD said after the game. So
2 things can be right.
Yeah.
So, again, the referee that was nearest to the play called nothing. He let the play go on. The referee on the far side, he was the one that granted that timeout. And so, listen, one of the referees was in the right position to do the right thing. He let the play go on. Tom Washington wasn't in the play. He was over on the side of LeBron. Bron was able to get his attention and get the timeout. And so I understand Devin's frustration, but, you know, we're humans at the end of the day. It happens. But it makes it a little bit different when it's for something and something is on the line. It makes it stings a little different.
For sure. Listen, I agree. I don't think either one of them are wrong. I think it is strange that they had two different approaches, as if they didn't have a conversation.
They didn't talk.
I would like to think, because Book did delete his Instagram post, and maybe it's because he saw KD's approach and was like, you know what, I'm not going to blame this on the referee. It was, in the moment, it was what it was. I was infuriated in the moment, and I wanted to blame him, but after taking some time and rest and thinking about it, he's like, you know what, we could have won that game. A multitude of opportunities we had to tie and win in other instances.
And I think fans can be harsh.
Yeah.
Particularly,
What?
fans can be harsh, and I think, you know, Devin probably was getting a lot of attention on his Instagram that he probably didn't want, and he just deleted the post.
Probably from
that's
the LA
my
side.
theory.
Probably from the Lakers fans.
Yeah, that's my theory. Yeah, Laker fans
And
can
there's
be
a lot
a
of
little
Lakers
wild.
fans out there who we both know.
Yeah,
No,
Laker fans, they just stopped bothering me, by the way. I appreciate it.
They've moved on finally. Well, the game itself had some moments, and LeBron, look, we could say this pretty much almost every show at this point, but 15 of his 31 came in the fourth. And the question we ask every time, and I will continue to do so, how impressive was it?
Listen, at this point, I'm all out of compliments for LeBron.
He made us look good. I said we thought he could play the 40. We said no, but him and Father Time are going head to head, and it's a pretty good matchup. But we picked him as the best player going to be on the court yesterday, and he proved us right. He made us look good, even though we did lose that Knicks.
Yeah, we really
prediction.
did.
But
Didn't do well
I did get the Lakers, because in the in-season tournament they've been playing unbelievable. But he made me and Lou look really good as picking him for the best player on the court, with everybody on the court younger than him.
Sure. And listen,
Everybody.
I'll dig a little deeper than that. There is no Vegas NBA basketball without the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but Las Vegas is basically a home game for the Lakers, and LeBron James is the leader of that. You know, they play so much preseason basketball there. They have a big fan base, big staple for this NBA. So I thought last night LeBron James said, I'm going to this party, and I'm pulling up to this party, and I'm going to be a part of it. And he put his head down and won a basketball game.
So you think they have home court advantage in Vegas, and that they're gonna?
1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%. You
I
see
guess
it.
they do.
1,000%.
For sure.
It's going to be loud, isn't it? I really want to see the setup.
It's gonna be yellow and it's gonna be purple.
And there it is. The decorating's been done. Look, he leads the league with plus 101 in fourth quarter. So this all goes back to the original narrative that we've been doing with this guy since the beginning of time, basically. But the whole idea, and some people still stick to it, that he's not clutch. But believe it or not, there are people who made entire careers of talking about how he's not
I've always
clutch.
thought that was a silly narrative.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, to call the man clutch, he's always made the right play. You know, whether
I mean,
he
the
shoots,
timeout could be considered a right
and
play.
we can go back further than, you know, the last shot narrative that people always try to put on him. Under 5 minutes of a basketball game, LeBron James is probably going to make every single play coming down that stretch. He's making sure guys are in their right spots. He's making sure the offense is getting ran. He's the quarterback on defense. He's talking. He's communicating. And so coming down to the last shot, he probably won't shoot that shot, but I guarantee they're going to get a quality look at the rim, and that's being led by LeBron James. And so I've always thought the he's not clutch narrative is silly to me.
For sure. There's a lot of narratives out there about a lot of players that are silly. This one being one. His 2-minute drill is elite. I said he's a fan of other sports, and he is the quarterback, and he's locked in that fourth quarter, especially the last 5 minutes or so, where he's going to make, you know, very few errors, not many mistakes, and he's going to make the right play, like Lou said, whether it's finding the right shot or getting the right shot and getting to the free throw line or calling a timeout, heads-up play like he did last night, and make sure his team has a chance to win, regardless of the situation.
Timeout was smart. It was very smart. Shams, you're watching this game last night, this Lakers team. Sometimes you don't know which AD you're going to get. Austin Reeves has been up and down, and last night everyone seemed to show up all at once. What'd you think?
I think the biggest thing that reminded me of last year's team is just the defense. You saw when they made those trades at the deadline, defensively, they got stingier, they got better. Last night forced 22 turnovers by the Suns. They took over almost 30 shots more than the Suns did last night. And obviously that's a byproduct of defensively just getting stops and getting the Suns to turn the ball over. Jared Vanderbilt is back in the lineup. I think he's playing great defensively. You saw he was making an impact, crowding Kevin Durant. And you saw Darvin Ham make an adjustment. He went pretty much just with Taurean Prince, Rui Hachimura, and Jared Vanderbilt as his forwards. Christian Wood got a DNP last night, which to me is a sign of things to come with the Lakers. They're going to really lock in on this group that they have. And then Austin Reeves. This team is best when he's the number 3 guy. He's the third option. I don't know if we can call it a big 3 because he is coming off the bench and it sometimes does fluctuate. But when he's their third best player, when he's the third option, I think this team is just more successful. 30 points, 20 points, 6 rebounds, team high plus 17. But listen to Danny. You know what I'm curious about? When Danny played with the Lakers, they won a championship. He did with LeBron. Did you think he played until he was this old? Like, was LeBron talking about that with you guys?
Talking about what exactly?
Like the aspect of him playing until he's 40, 41, 42, and also this battle with Father Time.
Yeah, no. But every time I see him, I ask him, you think you're going to make it to playing with Bronny? And he's like, I don't know. You know, I think at that age, once you get to a certain part, you take it day by day, year by year, and it's like, yeah, I want to play 20 seasons, but if you're at 16, you're like, we'll see how I feel next year, or I'll see how I feel this year. And that's kind of the approach he takes. And we didn't speak about it. He's doing very, I said, he's looking fresher than last year to me, and he's playing at a high level. So I think he'll make it to Bronny, and I don't know if he'll make it to 45, but each game he's making me a believer.
If he did, I wouldn't be shocked. I guess that's where we are in this story. I would not be shocked at all. Everyone says it depends on AD. That's the question before any Lakers game, no matter what's at stake. But he was aggressive last night. Came out 16 shots in the first half. That was big, you guys. Did you see what you wanted to see out of AD?
Huge, yes. You got to get your big man involved in the game, especially when he's your main defender at the rim. You want to keep him locked in, keep him interested in the game. He did an amazing job of coming out aggressive offensively, but not just offensively, but defensively, leading the charge and getting his other guys there. Like Shams was saying, their defense last night was tremendous. You got Taurean Prince stepping up. You got, Vando coming back. They got all the pieces they need defensively to always keep themselves in the game. That's where it starts. To get 30 more shots than your opponent, that's unreal. You can't ask for a better game. But to Phoenix's positive outlook, they lost by 3?
Yeah.
And they had 20 less possessions.
That's true.
It shows you how good you guys can be.
And I like the change of approach. If we remember at the beginning of the season, Darvin Ham came out and said, I want 80 to shoot 6 or more three-pointers a game. And it just wasn't working out.
Nope.
You had him too far away from the rim. Yeah. Offensively, he was too far from the rim. Defensively, he's coming down the court, not being able to rim protect. So I like to see him with his back to the basket when he's being aggressive, when he's putting so much pressure on your defense inside of that paint. They become a much different basketball team when he does that. And so last night we saw a glimpse of it. We've always had this thing with AD where we want him to bottle it up, be consistent. And so I thought last night was a great start for that.
I mean, he has shot 5 threes in total over the last 18 games.
And this worked for them.
Yeah, so maybe that's
stay
it.
that way.
Maybe the 6 threes thing is not the plan. All right, the first game of the night was Knicks-Bucks. We had the Knicks. We were wrong. Bucks advanced to Vegas. They beat them handily, 146-122. Kind of a bummer, honestly. They've won 8 straight against New York. What were we thinking, Danny? They won 8 straight against New York.
Yeah.
The Knicks
we thought this was their night.
I thought it was going to be the moment.
Come on, y'all.
Look, most points allowed by the Knicks since 1979. What a horrible time to make that kind of history. Giannis with 35, 10, and 8. Lillard had 28 and 7. Julius Randle. Sometimes he gets the bad rep, but he had 41, 6, and 5. Look, the offense for the Milwaukee team was stupid. Their defense coming in is the best. The duo of Giannis and Lillard is amazing and had 63 points. Is this the most lethal offense? When healthy, obviously you have to say that for everybody, but when healthy?
No.
No?
No.
I like who?
Whoa.
I like Boston.
When healthy?
When fully healthy, I think they have more weapons, more pieces. They may not be. Actually, I think Milwaukee lost some depth when they lost Grayson Allen in the trade.
We talk about offense?
Offense. You got Porzingis, you got Jaylen Brown, you got Jason Tatum, you got Drew. That Boston, I think, is the more lethal offense.
Fast forward to the Eastern Conference
than
Finals.
Milwaukee.
Boston's
and
not...
also because Chris Middleton, we don't know. He's on minute restriction right now. He's been up and down.
Good point.
And he's also trying to find his rhythm with Dame and Giannis having their duo. Brooke has some good games, but I feel like there's a lot of inconsistencies in that firepower offense that they have. They are one of the most lethal. I think they're top 3 for sure.
Top 3.
They also have Phoenix. And when
fair.
healthy, we haven't seen them healthy. So
we got to go. We got to go. What we know, though, Danny. We can't go with the maybe.
Even with the, I think I have Boston.
I like Boston as well. I think efficient-wise, they're probably not one of the more efficient teams. When it comes to I know you're a numbers guy, so you're probably looking at the efficiency ratings. But to me, you really got two guys that you can throw the basketball to and go win you a game, and then you still have Giannis, who can put so much pressure on your defense in the open court just by putting his head down and bullying guys. And so for me, that gives them three really, really solid guys that can go get you a bucket. And listen, let's give kudos to Malik Beasley last night.
Absolutely.
Played out of his mind,
He's
shot the
playing
ball.
well.
Yeah, shot the ball incredibly well. So they got a lot of guys that can go out there and go get a bucket for him. So lethal-wise, I really like them, but I like Boston as well. But I would give the Bucks a slight edge because, you know, Boston play a lot of one-on-one basketball that doesn't work sometimes.
A skosh above. Look, we like to talk about who won trades. Sometimes nobody, sometimes both. In this particular case, Damian Lillard, in 9 of his last 11 games, has had over 25 points, and they're 9-2 in that span. Did they win the trade?
This is gonna sound contradictory.
I think it's too early to tell. I think it's just a Sacramento-Indiana situation where I think both teams kind of play out
right.
well. I think Boston's doing pretty well with Drew when healthy, and they have Porzingis, and so is Milwaukee. Now, if you would have said, did they win the trade if you're considering Drew being on Portland?
That's the tough part, right?
Yeah, but you know, Drew ended up in Boston, so I think the trade worked out for both the players anyway.
A little contradictory for me because it's hard to say because Boston is still number 1 in the East.
There you go.
So it's hard to say that, you know, they're losing the trade when they're at the top of their conference.
Okay, that's fair. We can do that. It's never too early to start arguing about MVP and who should be what. The case for Giannis, until further notice, can we just assume he's on that list?
I would assume so.
Like
we previously said, man, that list is long. So
It's
it's
very
a little
long.
early. It's early in the game.
He's always one of those guys that's going to be on that in the top 5 for sure, regardless of who's playing great, regardless of the situation. But, you know, you got him, Jokic, Joel. Those 3 guys are forever going to be, I think, for the last 5 years and the next 2 or 3 years, going to be on that top 5 of MVP race. Now, you got some young guys coming up. Luka, Shea, might be Jason Tatum. There's some other guys that might be on the list added, Ant-Man. But those guys are always going to be in the top 5 or 10 in the next 3 or 4 years or so.
the list is the list. There was a controversial moment post-game in this one. Giannis seemingly learning something. Here he is.
Could make it a little better. You said you're going to play roulette. You're going to get at least $100,000, so that'll make it easier.
Are we getting money now? We got some money?
That's a surprise to you.
Hey, the rich get richer.
Cap.
No chance. Right.
I think there's a chance that he didn't know about the finals bonus. I don't think he knew about the end goal, 500,000. I don't think he knew about the 100 for
That
advancing.
he's got 100 already.
Yeah.
I think that was his realization that they've gotten to the point where
They're starting to win.
they're
Money.
starting to win some money.
And in the next game, win more money. And I think he thought there was only one prize for the winner.
So it was
instead of-
winner take all. He
Yeah,
thought.
I assume that.
I think he knew about.
Am I the ass? I don't believe him.
I think he knew about every level. Michelle, you've never been in the NBA before.
That's a good
Anytime
point.
they introduce something new, somebody comes in, they sit the team down, and they explain these things. I'm pretty sure that they were told 500 for the winner, 250 for the runner-up, 100 for the semifinalists. My takeaway from that was they won a game where they finally qualified to win some money, and I think that's what he was saying. We get some money now, so I think that's what it. But him acting like he didn't know that they were going to get some money at some point for this. Come on, man. We're in the sports entertainment business. Everything is about
For
money.
sure. But you know, superstars, sometimes they're not in those meetings. Max players sometimes don't worry about the chips. To him, this may be chips.
Maybe.
Superstars also like to act like they don't know what's going on.
For
too.
sure. But yeah, Giannis is an interesting guy, and he's always going to keep it interesting.
Huh.
With his dad.
I'm not
jokes.
rolling, though. I'm calling Cat.
Okay.
He knew.
He knew. I think, Shams, did he know? We're just going to go to Shams right now. Also, I want you to talk about the fact that they had 146 points last night. This Bucks team looked pretty incredible. You can comment on the other thing if you want to.
When it comes to money, I think Giannis knows all, to be frank.
Right.
To be frank. Listen, I think for the Bucks, they've had so much turbulence this year. You get a new coach in there, and you could already tell from a systematic perspective, schemes, they've been going through it, trying to figure out exactly which style they want to play under Adrian Griffin. But I think when Damian Lillard is aggressive, they're 12-1 when he scores 25 points or more. So when he's got his foot on the gas, when he's aggressive, when he's looking for himself, I think early in the year, him and Giannis were trying to figure out exactly who would sacrifice. How would they run the pick and roll together? There were moments in time when those two guys weren't even running pick and rolls late in games. And I think getting on the same page about his aggressiveness, they have 23 pointers as a team last night. This Milwaukee team offensively, it's to me a lot better than they were last year. Now it's a question about defensively, systematically, are they going to get on the same page? And like Danny said, Chris Middleton, how does he continue to round into form? I think you're starting to see him play more minutes, start to play better. But him getting back to the player that we can look at and say he can also close a game. If Damian Lillard is getting double teamed, if he's getting swarmed, we can also rely on Chris Middleton. If he can get back to that point, I think Milwaukee has a chance for sure, has a great case to be the best offense in the league.
Okay. Shams, do you think that they're the most lethal offense in the NBA today?
I think they have a case to be, for sure. But to me, their defense and how they play offensively is the big difference maker, right? Like, there have been moments they've gone away from that Dame Lillard, Giannis pick and roll. There was a game, I think, in Chicago where they didn't even run that in overtime, and that should be your best play. Mm-hmm. And so I think they have a case to be for sure. But if Chris Middleton isn't 100%, but he's not the Chris Middleton we saw a couple of years ago when they got to the finals and won the championship, then maybe not, because at that point you have Dame Lillard, you have Giannis, and then you have a lot of great role players, but they need Chris Middleton to be that guy as well.
I'm assuming that's a no. So
Shams is.
If not, I'm wondering what other teams you think are more lethal offensively than this.
Shams, you were dancing then, man. Say it,
He's
brother.
a smart man. He's a smart man. I'm not going to get Shams in trouble. There's no chance I'm doing that. On TNT, Kenny Smith said, this was kind of an ouchy statement, that the Knicks have never had the best player on the floor. So if you automatically are going into every game with, at best, the second best player.
No, that's a crazy take.
So you don't agree?
Julius Randle is an all-star.
Okay.
Memphis has no all-star. Detroit doesn't have an all-star. Washington doesn't have an all-star. Portland, Utah, Orlando. These are a lot of teams that.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about Julius Randle. I didn't even mention.
But are we
Jalen
going by
Brunson.
all-stars?
I haven't even mentioned Jalen Brunson yet. So listen, there's a quarter of teams in the NBA that they're going to have the best players on the floor. So I disagree with this.
I disagree as well. I think just Kenny's disappointed because he's a New Yorker.
He's a New
and I
Yorker.
think he grew up deep down wanting to see New York do well and the Knicks do well, and they're constantly disappointing the New York fan base out there. And you know, he was a little upset of how they performed last night. So I think he let him have it. But listen, sometimes in these type of games, it's like NCAA tournament. You're gonna have a night where you hope you play. You may play bad. You have to win your losses. You know, and it's tough to do that in these situations. So I think defensively, they just had a really tough night, and it sucks to have it on this stage during this time. But it's not like the playoffs. It's a one game, you know, you're out type of situation. So it's just the wrong time for them to have a bad defensive game. But I think they do at times have the best player on the floor with a Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. And they have even other guys that can show themselves to be the best player on the floor at that time.
I'm Team Mitchell Robinson. I don't know if anyone's keeping track of that out there. But should they – look, Julius Randle had a great night last night. So this is not coming off the heels of that by any means. But when we talk about the Knicks, we talk about him a lot. We talk about Brunson. At some point, we're going to talk about moves they could possibly make. You know, if you run this team, would you think about trying to trade Julius Randle? Who would you try to trade?
It depends on who you're trying to get back.
Right. It got to make sense. I think this team has made their bed with this roster. You know, they've committed to building this group, and it's going to take some time. I think you're starting to see some dividends of it in the new NBA where it's so much turnover and guys are moving teams so often. I think the Knicks should stay pat. Let this be a long process and keep this group together. You know, they got a lot of young pieces and guys that are growing and building together.
For sure. And I think the only pieces that they would want to get are teams they're not available. Right. Like a Karl Anthony Towns, where Minnesota's top of the West right now and playing well. A Joel Embiid, which Philly's not letting him go, and Minnesota's not letting Karl go for something easy. It has to be a whole team package, basically. So the people that they would get in replace of Julius Randle are usually not available. So I think they stick with this group and try to make it work.
It must suck to always be talked about in that regard, Shams. And it will continue probably till the end of time. So do you hear rumblings? Are the Knicks thinking about it? Are they going to look as we get closer and closer to sort of a trade deadline situation? Will moves be made?
They're monitoring the marketplace. They want to see if there's a star player that's available that they would go all in for. They have 8 first-round draft picks that they can trade, Michelle. 4 of their own, 4 from other teams. So they've kept a lot of their assets. They have a ton of tradable contracts as well. They have a couple young players. We think of guys like Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley, So they've got pieces. If they want to go make an aggressive bid for a superstar player, I think they have what it takes. The question is, do they find the guy out there that they would want to do it for? Would you put all your chips in the middle? Would you trade, 3-4 first-round picks for Karl Anthony Towns? Like, to what capacity do they go all in for? I think these are all questions that they have to answer. But I think they're keeping an open mind with the marketplace, and I think they are monitoring which star they want to go all in for.
And if you're Minnesota and you're finally rolling, you don't even consider this. You're not even answering the phone.
Exactly.
So in theory, it sounds good, but I don't know if.
But how long does that last?
And
I guess
till
that's the
Until they
question.
start declining.
to the decline.
But then do you want Karl Anthony Towns when they start declining?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's a very good player.
Absolutely.
Again, I'm the ass. I guess I'm the ass.
Absolutely.
It just keeps coming back to that. I'll take a quick break right now. When we come back, some Shams scoops, and we'll talk about jewelry, rings specifically, when Run It Back returns.
Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up.
Oh, yay, Shams scoops. And we saw him last night in street clothes, looked very comfortable. But Bradley Beal, Shams, when will we see him on the court?
I'm told Bradley Beal has started his ramp-up process, and as long as everything goes well, there's some real hope that Beal will make his return next week, potentially over the next 10 days in that Suns lineup. And he was shut down about 3 weeks ago with that back strain. He's going to be reevaluated over the next couple days. And as long as the progress continues in his rehab, we know how fluid it's been, but as long as it continues, there is real hope that he's going to be back soon. The Suns overall have won 7 of their last 10 games. So they need Brad Beal back in the lineup. They want to see what they have with that big three. And hopefully for him and this team, that comeback is coming soon.
I mean, my goodness, we want to just see them all together. How long does it take to gel once
I think at least 10 to 12 games for all three of them to get a good rhythm. But I think we're talking to Lou off air. I think they naturally have a pretty good pecking order, and I think they know that Brad's probably gonna be. They said they're gonna put him at point guard, and he would be the third option, which is interesting to me because I've seen Book play point guard for Phoenix. A couple of years back, I thought it'd be more naturally to put him there, but putting Brad at the point guard position naturally, I think, puts him in a third option pecking order type situation.
How this team is built, I think their learning curve is going to be a little easier than the other groups that we've seen try to put a bunch of superstars on one group. And like we mentioned, naturally, I think everybody knows that Kevin Durant is the best player. He's 1A, D Book is 1B, and Brad Beal can be 1C. But I think they know that going into this, and they have the personalities where all three of these guys, they just want to go out and hoop, win, and play games. We've never seen any one of those three guys be really concerned with individual accolades or complain about getting shots and this or that, some of the things that other teams have had issues with. And so 10 to 12 games sounds pretty fair, but I think that puts them ahead of the curve.
I like that. Warriors, CP3 out with the injury. Andrew Wiggins also, of course, missed some time after slamming his finger in a car door. Ooh, it's the worst. When can the Warriors expect those guys back out there, Shams?
Michelle, both Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins expected. They're probable to play tonight against Portland, so quick absences for them, a couple games out. But Chris Paul, he was dealing with a nerve issue in his leg. Andrew Wiggins, like you said, Michelle, jammed his finger on a car door. It was bruised, it was nicked up for a couple days, but he is on his way back tonight, barring any setback, as is Chris Paul. So those two guys are back, and they need to get a rhythm. They need to get back going. Andrew Wiggins, last week he has a 29-10 game. He's starting to look better, and Chris Paul has been steady for this team all year. They're still without Gary Payton II. He's going to miss considerable time with a torn calf, but getting these two guys will be important for them. They need to start getting some chemistry and building momentum.
Shams, we appreciate you. And I already miss you, but we will see you again bright and early tomorrow. Thank you. Oh, I like
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you. Guys, we're going to do a little put a ring on it time right now. I'm going to give you a player's name with an over or under on how many rings they will finish their careers with, and then you tell me where we are on that.
Gotcha.
We're going to start with the one and only Chris Paul. Year 19, 0 rings. I will put the ring number at 0.5.
Does he get one?
Did he?
I'm going to say under. I don't think he gets it this year. Golden State have had a lot of ups and downs. it's to the point where some of it's concerning. If where they're going to be playoff spot wise. Are they going to be in a play in this year? Or are they going to get it together and have a solidified playoff spot? So with that being said, I don't see them winning a ring this year. And this is year 19 for Chris. He did a couple years in college. I don't know how many more years you think he has left, but I think maybe one more after this. I can see him playing. I know LeBron's the standard. Everybody thinks everybody can play 20-something years like LeBron. Not everybody can do that. 19's a lot, especially after playing a couple years of college. So I don't know how many more years he'll have left. So I think this is probably his best chance this year, and I don't see it being the greatest one.
Do you think he ring chases?
I hope not. I hope not. His legacy is too great. He's considered one of the best point guards of all time in this league, and so I wouldn't want that to be on his jacket going into the Hall of Fame, one of the guys that was running around in year 20, year 21, looking for a ring. And listen, you are who you are at this point. We respect you for what you've done for the game. I know he's still building on it. I'm not trying to close the door on him, but I'm giving this an under.
Okay, both. All right. This is interesting. Jason Tatum, very young still, only 25 years old, 6th year in the league. 4 Eastern Conference Finals, so close. The over/under is 1.5 rings for Tatum. Lou.
I'm gonna give it an over. He's getting closer. He's getting closer and closer. He's had some deep playoff runs already, 4 Eastern Conference Finals, like mentioned, and so that's telling you that he's knocking on the door of getting over that hump, especially in year 6. Who knows how much time he has? So I'm giving this an over. I think he definitely is gonna be a 2-time or more champion at the end of the run.
I'm giving this over as well. I think he gets 2. I think he has a long tenured career ahead. He still think probably another 10 years at least. I think he gets 1 in Boston. I don't know if he gets 2 in Boston, but maybe 1 somewhere else as a third option, maybe.
Really?
I can see it happen if things don't go well after, or if they don't get 1. I can see some trades happening, or him wanting to leave and going somewhere where he thinks he has a chance, and maybe getting his 2 somewhere else. But I do think he can get 2 within the next 10 years of his career.
It seems like he's in such a good basketball situation there. Is there a better place for a guy like Jason Tatum?
Not right now, but he said a lot of things can change in a year. You see what happened to Brooklyn. Things can change in 2 years, so you never know.
All right, Kevin Durant. Obviously, he already has his 2, but he hasn't been to a final since. Dun, dun, dun. Over under 2.5 rings. Danny.
I'm gonna go over. I think he can get 1 more. I think Phoenix, if they get it together, if they get it right, if they get Bradley healthy, and I think they have a short window of maybe 2 or 3 years. But I think they can get it done if they get the right pieces around those guys.
Not a lot of time left, but he has a window, and they have the team that's built for it. This is a team that's built to make a championship run, and I'm confident that they're going to be in the mix of that. And so I'm going over. I think he has an opportunity to get 1.
So this Phoenix team is the window. That's like the 2, 3.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, no pressure. James Harden. Lot of contending teams he's been on, and somehow nothing. Still chasing the first one, guys. I'm being dramatic. I have no idea why. Over under 0.5 rings for James Harden.
Give me the over.
What?
Clipper gang or don't bang. It is what it is, man. Give me the over. I'm riding with the guys.
Ride with his guys.
Give me the over.
I'm going under. I just don't see it happening for this group. And I don't. Maybe he can end up with a contender after this year, but I feel like he's going to try to stick it out and make it work with this group.
You think he's going to try to stick it out and make it work?
With LA?
Based on what?
He ain't leaving.
I don't know.
Angeles.
I think he'll stay. I think he's going to try to stick in Los Angeles and figure out a rhythm. But PJ Tucker said it. There's not enough basketballs for this group to make it work. They need to find some role players. Maybe they make some good additions or moves before deadline or in the offseason. But there's a short window for them in Clipperland. I don't know how healthy or PG and Kawhi are going to stay or be in the near future.
Fair.
So I think that window is very short.
If he gets a ring, is he a top 50 player of all time?
He's arguably a top 50 player right now without the ring. But I think if he gets the ring as one of the bus drivers, I think for sure he's a top 50 player of all time.
Really? I mean, we could name the other 49, but we don't have that kind of time here today. Maybe tomorrow. Luka Doncic, over under 0.5.
Give me the over. I like to see a Magic Bird type run with him and Jason Tatum in the years to come. Originally it was going to be Luka and Trey.
For sure.
Until they get everything right in Atlanta right now is going to be Luka and Tatum. And so give me the over. I see these guys battling for a long time.
Give me the over as well. I mean, I like what the groups he puts together, well, his coaching staff and front office put together for him. And, he's very similar to LeBron. He's a high IQ player. I think all he needs is the right pieces, and I think they're going to find that for him. With it said, he still has a lot of time left, too. He's still very young.
I'm doing math right now, right? So we have Tatum, you guys said over, so he's going to get 2. You have Durant's going to get 1. James is going to get 1. Lucas, that's 4 seasons already. And we're not even taking into consideration the Nuggets.
That's not a lot of basketball.
Feels like a lot of
4
basketball.
seasons, not bad.
4 years feels like forever. Steve Kerr, 5 championships as a player, 4 as a coach. He's got 9 total. Over under 9.5.
Over.
Steve Kerr.
He's a coach.
How many overs are there?
He got 20 years. He can coach until he's 75.
You think he would,
80 years
though?
old.
You think he would do the pop thing?
I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know. You
Why
get
not?
sick of it at some point.
I mean,
maybe?
you see the contracts, they are I wouldn't say
true.
just giving out, but they're earning. But the contracts these coaches are getting now.
I was about to say, I'm sure he's made 4 times as much
I would coach
money.
for a long time, too, if I was him. He could definitely get it, but it depends on, where his mindset is. I don't know if he gets it in Golden State, though.
Okay,
So
that's what I was going to ask. Can you see him somewhere else?
I can't see him somewhere else, but if he does end up somewhere, if he does coach for 20 years, I give him the over, but I give him the under on this one. I don't see him getting in Golden State. And once Klay, Steph, and Draymond are gone, I think it's going to be very different.
That's
especially
true.
if they let go of Poole, Wiseman. I don't know what they're going to do with Kuminga and Wiggs, but they're a young core. I saw Paul Pierce and KG talking about the other day. Didn't pan out the way they expected them to.
I can't picture him coaching somewhere else. It would be very weird. Unless he wants to go to San Antonio.
Or Chicago.
Oh, Chicago would be good.
Chicago, San Antonio, that's the places where he's won.
Yeah,
so.
that's a good point. We'd welcome him. Coming up, panic button. Which teams, players, everyone should be hitting that button when Run It Back returns.
Run it up, then run it back. Run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
By the way, before you attack me, Luka was not an MVP. He was in Europe. So leave me alone, okay? Detroit Pistons, 2-18. They've lost every game. They lost every single game last month.
In November, huh?
That's not good.
Tough November.
As a franchise, panic button?
Break the panic button.
Break the...
Yeah, listen, if you don't win a basketball game in an entire month,
God, that's hard.
you gotta shake something up. I understand that they have a lot of young pieces and they are putting a lot of stock behind Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart, and obviously they give Monty Williams a 10-year contract. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, but it's time for them to start bringing some talent in here. Definitely hitting the panic button. This is bad.
I think we still got to give it some time. Give Monty some time. He's starting over, trying to build a culture. I think they're getting that, but they do have a lot of the same pieces. They have too many big men. They do have to. They have to change some pieces. They have to bring in some different, maybe some veteran leadership or different pieces. I think they have a lot of players or roster spots at the big man position. A lot of Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman, Isaiah Stewart, Doran, who's playing really good.
Yeah.
I think you use some of those pieces to get something back valuable that can help your team. Cade is playing well, but he needs some help.
He's got turnovers
They're really
too,
young though, but I still give Monty some time. But yeah, they do need to make some changes.
Where is what is it? 26 straight losses? I forget what the record is. It's like a crazy.
I hope that I know they don't.
We don't want that.
We don't even bring it up. Let's not even.
But now what we're up against is the one team that is going to lose to them. That's going to be a big moment too. You don't want to be that team. Like that's rough.
Unfortunately, it's going to be somebody.
It's
going to
It's
happen.
gonna be a dark day for him.
Please don't be the Spurs. All right, Warriors. So I don't want it to be that 9-11. Oh, Cade Cunningham, we do want to talk about him for a second because he is the former #1 pick and he has been the guy that vocally, and I respected it, was like, we're bad, we're just bad. There's nothing else to say. But he has more turnovers than anybody else right now in the league. I would imagine that being combined with that record and frustration and maybe some desperation, do you panic on him at all?
No, I just think the pieces around him, I think, are part of it. He's a very good player. He's playing high level. I'm shocked that he's leading the league in turnovers.
I know, it's weird.
But a lot of it is chemistry. They don't have the chemistry. A lot of it is your personnel. And a lot of those guys aren't ready. They're young. They're not ready. They don't have the experience. I think he needs that more of that around him to make him a more efficient point guard player and he'll have less turnovers for sure.
So the Warriors, we talked about Steve Kerr, whether or not he'll get another ring out there. They're 9-11. We talked about CP3. Gary Payton's not out there. Andrew Wiggins just got hurt. He should be back. Draymond with the 5-game suspension. Klay Thompson, pretty much all career lows in shooting. Do we hit the panic button on this Warriors team?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it? Yes?
Yeah.
What is on the horizon? I mean, I don't even know what you look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you do.
I don't either.
I don't know what you do, but they do need to figure out something. And I think more of it is having everybody back healthy, finding a rhythm with Wiggins, Kuminga, Draymond, not being suspended, Klay finding his rhythm back. But once Klay and Wiggins find the rhythm, I think they'll be a lot better. But they can find some more depth somewhere. I feel like they're lacking. When CP comes back, it will help too. But I think they are lacking some bench, depth and helping this group because they aren't getting any younger.
It's weird to say we're panicking on the Warriors. That just doesn't sound right. But I'm with you on that.
I'd say we're concerned.
Concerned. Okay, not panicked. Maybe this next one will get the panic button smacked. Memphis Grizzlies 5-14. Ja Morant still has 6 games to go in his suspension. Do we hit the panic button on this Grizzlies squad?
Yeah, they're done.
Okay.
Yeah, this season is a wrap. This one is a wash. They're selling $4 tickets down in Memphis, and
I think we hit the reset button.
That's a nicer way to look at it.
Because I think they have the pieces, they're just not healthy. Steven
That's
Adams, Brandon Clark, Ja's been out 25 games. Those 3 guys make a huge difference. I do think they lack some wing depth or some experience because they have Zaire and David Roddy who are young. I just don't think they're ready yet, but they are very good players, which I think next year.
What we're saying for the season.
Yeah,
for
this season.
For
this
this
season,
yeah.
This season,
for this season, they're done.
I think they kind of call it a wash, but they need a reset, and refresh probably by.
They're second to last in the West, and the West is nothing to play with right now. It's about 8 teams that's gonna give you headaches, So trying to fight uphill for that when Ja comes back, this team is done. And the injuries, like Danny just mentioned.
The injuries. Is there a world in which you could see Ja Morant not on this Memphis team next year?
Absolutely not. I don't see it.
No chance.
Yeah, I think grit and grind and Ja Morant in Memphis, they all go hand in hand. I think he's part of that fabric.
I don't think so, but you never know, and I hope to God that there's no more mistakes.
Yeah.
I hope that he's turned over a new leaf and things are. And I think he's more locked in and more serious about what he's doing. And also, I think him seeing this and watching him let his team down.
Not just the team,
is the worst
everybody.
thing you can feel as a player and the city, and seeing because they were contenders last year. Now they're just at the bottom of the league. For them to feel that way, he has to hold himself responsible for a lot of that, I'm sure. And he's going to probably hold himself to a new standard and turn over a new leaf.
I'm sure he's feeling it too. Out of sight, out of mind. We hadn't been talking about Ja Morant for months.
Crazy.
What
does he do all day?
Which may be a good thing, though.
Work out, watch basketball, I'm sure.
That's a lot of time.
Right.
Less live Instagram feeds, which is good. He under the radar, keep working out, but hopefully he comes back. I know he's going to come back with a bang, though.
You're so optimistic, Danny.
Who are you?
Who are you? Clippers 6-8 since they traded for Harden. Russell Westbrook, of course, all numbers are down. He's coming off the bench. And then we're trying to figure out still the whole how do they all work together type situation. Is it too early? I'm not even going to ask you. Is it too early to hit the panic button on the Clippers?
It's not too early. It's not too early, but I think they figured out they do get better. I know it's tough for some of those guys.
Dan, you gotta get a. I know it's hard for you, bro. Just get a Clip some love, man.
I do.
Push it out, bro. Just push it out. Give the Clips some love.
They need some more role players. There are guys with some egos, but I think they're handling it well. Some of them toward the end of their career. I know Russ has come off the bench for the Lakers side. And he's used to it, and he's still trying to figure out the minutes and how he's going to be impactful in the offense and defense. But I do think they play better than they did their first 10 games together. But I do think it's time to panic and make some changes.
That was kind of nice.
He did what he could.
Try to soften it a little bit. Scoot Henderson. Okay, so yes, he's very young, obviously, but I think the expectations for him going to Portland and being the dude were very, very high. And he's got as many turnovers as he does made shots. Not a great stat.
That's a crazy stat.
Panic button.
But we don't panic. This is a very young guy. Not only just for him, that organization is in a transition. You had a guy that was there for 10 years. Go to another team, and then you bring in a young kid, and you throw him the keys to the organization, and then Anthony Simons goes out with an injury. That's a lot of pressure on a young guy. He's in a different scenario than some of the other ones because they have veteran guys around him, or they have other players on those teams that can kind of carry them. And so for him, it's a lot of growing pains, but I don't panic. I think he figures it out. He finds his identity in this league, and he turns over a new leaf and he gets going.
All right, this next one, it's the Jordan Poole experience, okay? It's not just a player, it's an experience. And across the board, the numbers are worse than they were last year for him. Is it panic button time on him being a contributing member on a good team?
No. I think he could very well be a big contributor. I think he just needs the right pieces around him. He needs the right leadership around him. I just think he's too young to be a leader right now for that Washington group. I think he's his best at a third or fourth option for a really good team. And he still has to grow into that and mature into that. But for him, there's no panic. They will turn, and for the right situation, I think he can be a great piece, an impact factor for a playoff team.
Okay, so here's the thing with Jordan Poole, right? If you just watch like moments or watch him, you're just like, what is he even thinking, or what is he doing out there? If you're a team that's thinking about it and you see him do these things, aren't you cheapening your value as a player?
No,
who wants that?
I mean, you should look at it like Golden State. You know, they were successful with him being the second or third option. I don't know if he's ready to be a guy that can lead a team to the playoffs with some of the antics and some of the style of play. But I think he can be a very much big piece of a contributing factor to another playoff team.
I think it depends on the team and how they feel they can handle a player like that. Yes, he does seem like a menace. He does seem like he can distort a locker room.
Ridiculous.
But I think in the right situation, the right coaching staff, and the right players around him, you can have him more locked in. And I think like Golden State or San Antonio can have a guy like that and be very, very.
Why are you doing that?
You don't think Pop could handle Jordan Poole?
No, I don't want that.
I know you don't want it, but I think
Danny,
those type of coaches, for
Shut
sure.
up.
I think those type of coaches can help, help a guy or guide a young player like
We're
that.
trying to
be
do
more
something
mature.
in San Antonio, Danny.
For
Why
sure.
are you putting the
I'm not saying he needs to go there.
He can be a part of. He can contribute.
I'm just giving coaches that can handle him.
No. No. Coming up, a full slate of games tonight. We're going to pick the ones we like the best and preview those when Run It Back returns.
Run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
Well, we got a lot of games tonight, I think pretty much everyone. But Magic and Cavs is the one we're going to look at right here because the Magic, winner of 9 of their last 10, didn't think I'd be saying that.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels nice. What is this team doing right?
They're playing defense. They coaching staff, their group, and some of the guys they brought in, Joe Ingles, some veterans they have there, helping them, get more locked in and seeing their potential. They're playing some really good defense. They were top in the league a week ago. I think they were number 1 in the league, but they've been top 5 in the league defensively, which is giving them a chance to win. And they got some guys that can score.
Can this last? Can they be contenders?
I really like their coach. I really like Jamal and everything
like
that he's done for this organization and getting this group on the right path. And they got a lot of young talent, and they're putting it together. So I think this happens.
Contenders is a strong word, though.
Yeah, I know. I was like, you didn't answer my question.
Playoff contention?
Yeah, I was dancing.
Yes.
Okay, playoff contention, but Eastern Conference, no.
Contenders?
Not that
no,
high.
Not that high. But playoff contenders, for sure.
Moving in the right direction. That's all you can ask for, really, in life, isn't it? Well, that does it for us today. Tomorrow, the champ, Las Vegas Aces, Chelsea Gray, will be joining us bright and early on Run It Back. Nap time.
Run it back, run it up, 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 run it back, run it up.